Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Kane, and I'm a program specialist with the Division of Community Assistance within the Office of Community Services. I'm excited to welcome you all to our fifth and final webinar for the Federal Fiscal Year 2023 CSBG State Plan Series. Today's webinar will provide a refresher for submitting your CSBG State Plan through the online data collection system via grantsolutions.gov. Before we get started, I would like to remind everyone of the following. Each participant has been muted on entry and will remain on mute throughout the webinar. However, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please utilize the Q&A function on Zoom. We will have time to address any questions at the end of the webinar, and while we review the chat, our primary focus during the question and answer portion will be the Q&A pod. Lastly, this webinar is being recorded. The recording, along with a copy of the slides, will be posted to the OCS CSBG webinars page, found through the link posted in the chat. Today's training will be presented by Monique Alcantara and Nikki Fraser-Curry, two members of our performance management team, and myself, Jessica Kane. Our colleague, Jacinta Matunga, will be providing links in the chat throughout the presentation. Today, we will review the elements of a complete CSBG state plan submission and provide an overview of grant solutions in the online data collection system, more commonly referred to as OLDC. We'll then provide a live demo of how to complete and submit the CSBG state plan. We should have some time for Q&A and then share a few announcements. I'll now turn it over to Monique.
Thank you, Jessica. Before we begin the demo, we'll first discuss the elements of the complete CSBG state plan submission. Some of the following slides have been discussed in previous webinars, so this information should also serve as more of a reminder or a refresher. As stated in the previous webinars, all federal fiscal year 2023 CSBG state plans are due by Thursday, September 1st, 2022. However, we encourage you to submit as early as possible. This helps us to ensure that once CSBG is appropriated, we can release funding to you as soon as possible. Also, as a reminder, the CSBG state plan must be based on the federal fiscal year of October 1st through September 30th. And as stated last week, Grant Solutions is now available for submissions. Just a final reminder that the following state grant recipients are required to submit a new incomplete 1 or 2 year CSBG state plan for fiscal year 2023. We'll discuss the details of a complete CSBG state plan shortly. For those who submitted a 2-year state plan last year that covers federal fiscal years 2022 and 2023, you are required to submit the SF424M, which is a separate form available through Grant Solutions. You also have the option to revise your approved CSBG state plan or submit a new plan. OCS suggests only doing so for major revisions, such as, but not limited to, making a change to the state's plan for usage of funds and/or significant proposed changes to state policies and procedures as it relates to the topics included in the plan, such as monitoring and organizational standards. The following is considered a complete submission for the federal fiscal year 2023 CSBG state plan. First, the CSBG eligible entity list. As noted in CSBG Dear Colleague Letter 2022-39, please do not revise your CSBG eligible entity list unless there's a change to the CSBG eligible entities that resulted in a change to the formula distribution or monitoring plans. I'll discuss this in more detail on the next slide. Secondly, the CSBG state plan. This includes the SF42M, which is the cover page of the CSBG state plan, so you do not need to submit it as a separate form. Sections 1 through 14, including attaching the designation letter in Section 1 and the insurances in Section 14. And finally, agreement to the federal certifications, which is Section 15 of the CSBG state plan. The information for these requirements can be found in CSBG Action Transmittal 2022-04. Please remember that the authorized official, as designated in the designation letter, must also certify the CSBG state plan. There are a few forthcoming changes to the CSBG eligible entity list. First, we have added 2 new extra data points, the executive director and the website address. We made these changes to ensure that the information we have on the CSBG eligible entities is up to date and easy to track. Again, as we noted in CSBG Dear Colleague Letter 2022-39, We are currently working with the Office of Management and Budget to replace the DUNS number with a unique entity identifier, or UEI. This is due to a change by the U.S. government to replace the DUNS with the UEI. Due to these changes, we ask that you do not revise your CSBG eligible entity list unless you have designated or redesignated, de-designated, or terminated an agency, or an agency voluntarily relinquished CSBG or merged with another entity. These types of changes will ultimately affect the listing of eligible entities in sections 5, 7, and 10 of your CSBG state plan. If you have to add or remove an agency from the CSBG eligible entity list, you'll also have to add the director and website for all eligible entities. Joey and I are sending emails to all states within Group A to confirm the current listing of CSBG eligible entities within your state by close of business today. If you are in Group B and plan to revise your approved CSBG state plan or submitting a new CSBG state plan and would like to verify your list, please email Joey and I. Our emails have been added to the chat. Please note that once the changes are finalized, all state grant recipients will be required to update and resubmit their lists. We estimate the revised list to be available in Q2 of fiscal year 2023. A complete CSBG state plan includes the SF424M, sections 1 through 13, which focuses on state policies and procedures as it relates to administering CSBG within your state. Section 14, which is the assurances outlined in CSBG Act Section 676B, and Section 15, federal certifications. It's important to note that if you're submitting a 2-year CSBG state plan, you must complete all 2-year items, such as your planned state use of funds, training and technical assistance plans, and your monitoring plan. Not completing the second year information will affect your fiscal year 2024 CSBG annual report. We have listed all the items that include a 2-year response on the screen. And as noted earlier, if you would like to edit the second year responses prior to fiscal year 2024, you will have the opportunity to do so next year. Now, Nikki will provide a quick overview of Grant Solutions and OLDC.
Thank you, Monique. GrantSolutions.gov is the official ACF website to submit forms and links to your login.gov account. The platform allows forms to be submitted quickly and securely. Permissions are assigned according to the assigned role, which we will now review. There are 3 roles we recommend states assign to the individuals responsible for performing actions in OLDC. The authorized official has permissions to review and certify forms. The authorized official is the state's authorized designee to certify forms. The name or position of the authorized official must match the designee identified in the designation letter. This is important because the Office of Grants Management, OGM, uses this information for award letters. The grant administrator has the ability to enter data, submit and unsubmit reports. The data entry role is optional. Individuals with this role can only enter data. There can be more than one person assigned the grant administrator and data entry roles. Individuals must have their own accounts. Access is assigned to individuals from the state lead agency, not from associations, contractors, or eligible entities. Individuals must never share their password. In order to complete and submit forms, CSBG must be assigned to the OLDC account. Current users, please verify that you have an active account and that you are assigned the correct role. New users can email Jacinta Mutanga and me, Nikki, to request an OLDC access form or download the form from the ACF website. Check the chat pod for the link. Submit the completed form to Jacinta and copy me no later than August 1st, 2022. After submission of the OLDC access form, we will create your account. Once created, we will send a confirmation email and let you know to be on the lookout for 2 separate emails from notifications@grantsolutions.gov. One email will contain your username. The other email will contain a temporary password. Contact Jacinta and me if you do not receive these emails. As previously mentioned, you will access OLDC via the Grant Solutions website. Google Chrome is the preferred browser for optimal usability and was used to create the slides for this presentation. Microsoft Edge and Mozilla Firefox are also compatible with Grant Solutions. Users are no longer able to enter their OLDC username and password to log into Grant Solutions. You must log in by clicking the login.gov for recipients and grantors button. From the login.gov screen, you will enter your email address and login.gov password. For the accounts to link accurately, you must use the same email address for both login.gov and Grant Solutions. We provided step-by-step instructions on how to create a login.gov account and link your OLDC account in the fiscal year 2021 annual report kickoff webinar. We will provide the link in the chat pod. If you're unable to log in once your account is set up, contact Monique and me for further guidance. We will now prepare to go into a live demo of OLDC. As Monique pulls up OLDC, just a few quick notes. We've included summary slides in this presentation to use as a reference. We've included the icon of an orange laptop with the Grant Solutions logo on all slides that were presented as part of the live demo during this webinar. Also, we will be showing the federal view of the website, and your view based on your user role may be different than what is shown here, and the images that are included in the PowerPoint. One final note, we are using a staging version of the website, so any actions that we take will not affect your actual CSBG state plan. Monique has already logged in. When you log into Grant Solutions, the portal screen appears. As I've stated, your portal screen may be slightly different. From the menu bar at the top of the screen, select OLDC. This is the OLDC dashboard shown in the enhanced view of the OLDC homepage. The first tab is My Recent Activity, which displays all forms recently assessed by the users. We do have reports on the screen. So from this tab, you can view a form in read-only mode, assess the report section screen in edit mode, and navigate to the report form status page. The second tab is Activity Report, under which you can search for forms in progress, submitted, or approved for the past 2 years. As we have the federal view, our screen looks slightly different. So we'll pause for a moment to allow Monique to select the state. However, your view will only show the program and grantee fields. To access historical data, use the report form entry link from the main menu. From this, I'll let you get it. From this tab, you can view a form in read-only mode, access the report section screen in edit mode, and navigate to the report form status page.
Thanks, Nikki. We'll discuss how to submit the CSBG state plan. From the OLDC homepage, you'll select Report Form Entry from the left-hand side of the screen. This takes you to the form selection screen. For your awareness, I'm going to switch between forms to show errors that you may receive. I will try to move as slow as possible during this part of the demo, while also keeping in mind that we want to leave time for Q&A. So if I am repeating a step, I will move a little faster. I'm also navigating multiple screens, so I ask for your patience in advance, and I'm going to keep my camera off as to not to distract. So now that we are at the form selection screen, under program name, please select Community Services Block Grant. Under grantee name, select your states. Again, as I have the federal view, I see all the states, but you'll only be able to select your own state. For this part of the demo, we are going to use Alaska to demonstrate. And then under report name, I will select State Plan CSBG. The reporting period table will now appear. As a reminder, you must first ensure that your CSBG eligible entity list and your previous CSBG state plan is submitted. If either is not submitted, you'll receive an error message that you're unable to initialize. So I'm actually going to take a step back and pull up the CSBG eligible entity master list, and you'll see that it's saved, not submitted. I'll navigate back to the state plan, and you'll also see that the prior state plan is also saved. So when I click the plus icon, I will receive an error message. Failed to initialize state plan. There's no previous year state plan for the selected grantee and submitted status. So now I'm going to select Arizona. And I will navigate back to state plan. And just to verify, I have already checked that their prior years, that their eligible entity list and their prior year's CSBG state plan is submitted. And we are back to the reporting table. And this is based on your last approved CSBG state plan. So if you submitted a 2-year plan for federal fiscal years 2021 and 2022, the previous plan will be the fiscal year 2021, as is the case with Arizona. And again, the reporting period always aligns with the federal fiscal year of October 1st through September 30th. As we are preparing to submit the federal fiscal year 2023 CSBG state plan, I'll select October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. To proceed, under the actions column, I'll select the create icon shown as a plus sign. And if you scroll over it, it should show a little indicator that's create. There it goes. That is on the same line of the applicable reporting period. Once you click the plus sign, you'll see a loading, and this will take you to the reports section screen. Now I am going to navigate back to the form selection screen by clicking form selection at the top of the screen. And I'm changing to grantee Alabama because we pre-prepared this state plan for the demonstration. And this will just make the demonstration a lot more smoother. So I once again will select the state and then state plan. And as I've already initialized this plan, you'll see that I have 4 new icons under the action. First is the edit icon, which is shown as a pencil and paper, the report status icon shown as a bar graph, the print latest version icon shown as a printer, and the view icon shown as an eye. I'm going to click the pencil and icon button to edit my already initialized plan. This is what you'll need to do if you have to save and come back to edit your plan later. So now we are back at the report section screen. And I can begin editing the report. On the report section homepage, you'll see all of the sections of the CSBG state plan, including the SF424M and sections 1 through 15. I will zoom in. You'll also have view and add attachments, validate, and print full report. The view add attachments allows you to view all buttons that are attached to the report. We ask that you do not attach files using this button, as we will not review them. Rather, the attachment should be attached to specific items that allow for attachments. The validate action button checks for the plan for all errors or missing data. If there are no issues, the plan is validated and ready to be certified by the authorized official. Our plan is currently showing errors, so we will not be able to certify. And then we have print full report. Prints all sections as one complete report except for attachments. We'll discuss this a bit more later. All these action buttons can also be found at the top of each section. Each section, as I stated before, is listed separately and must be edited separately. To begin editing a section, under the Perform Action column, click the drop-down arrow next to the applicable section. Oops. And you'll see three different options. We have Clear Section Data, which deletes all data previously saved for the section, including any information that was pre-populated. Edit Section, which allows you to edit the data. And Print Section, which allows you to print a singular section rather than printing the entire report. As we are demonstrating how to enter data, I'm going to select Edit Section for the SF424M, and then I'll select Go. The SF424M is automatically populated with the information of the person who created or initialized the report. Please be sure to update the contact fields with the name of the authorized official as designated in the designation letter. This is extremely important as Office of Grants Management policy specifies that the notice of award must be sent to the authorized official. If you need to edit, please update the first and last name and the email address. Oops. Additionally, you'll have to verify that 1.A through 1.D is accurate. If you're submitting a one-year plan, under 1.A, select Plan. If you're submitting a two-year plan, select Other, 2-year. For 1.B, select Annual. If you're submitting a one-year plan, and select Other, 2-year if you're submitting a 2-year plan. And lastly, for 1.D, select Initial for either a 1-year or a 2-year plan. Initial is already selected, so I do not have to take any actions. Next, I'll demonstrate the 5 data entry options, which includes narratives or text boxes, radio buttons, checkboxes, tables, and attachments. A narrative or text box allows you to enter free text, as I did when I edited my contact information in the SF424M. I'll also navigate to another section to demonstrate a narrative field. There are 2 ways to navigate to another section. First is by selecting Next Section under the report progress bar, or you can navigate to the top of the screen, select the down arrow next to Report Sections, and select the section. To demonstrate the narrative or text field, I'm going to go to Section 2. So I'm going to hit the down arrow, select Section 2. And now we are in Section 2 of the CSBG State Plan. As you can see under Item 2.3, there is a large white field. To add text, you can click the box and begin typing. If your narratives are in another document, you can also copy and paste the information either by right-clicking and selecting Paste, or clicking in the box and using Control+V on your keyboard. The next data entry is radio buttons. These are circular and only allow you to select one option as shown under items 2.1 and 2.2. All radio buttons pre-populate from your prior submission. If you need to change your response, just select the new radio button or the new option to change it. We then have checkboxes. Checkboxes are square in nature. Checkboxes are square and allow you to select multiple options. I will navigate to Section 3 by clicking Next Section. You'll receive a pop-up message. Just click OK. It didn't save, so actually let me click Save to make sure what I've entered does save. And then we'll click Next Section. We'll click OK to go to the next section. And then I will scroll down to 3.3. Checkboxes also pre-populate. To deselect a checkbox, just select the checkbox, and to select a new checkbox, select that checkbox. Note, if you select other, such as tools not identified above, a text box will appear and you'll be required to add more information describing those tools for this example. Next, we have tables. To demonstrate a table, I will quickly navigate to section 8 by selecting report sections at the top of the screen and then section 8. So now we are here. Under 8.1, you'll see the training and technical assistance table has 4 columns. First, I'll select a planned time frame, and then I'll select whether it's a training, technical assistance, or both, and then I'll select a topic. To add additional rows, I just select the Add button under the table. If I need to delete a role, I just click the checkbox under the Delete column and then click Delete marked rows. And you'll receive a confirmation pop up. If you select Other under the topic, you'll also see that a field becomes available under the brief description of Other. And much like when I selected Other for 3.3a, you'll have to fill out additional information here, describing what Other means. Just a reminder, if you are submitting a 2-year plan, you'll also have to complete the second table labeled Year 2 in order to complete your submission. We then have attachments. Only specific questions allow you to add attachments. These specific questions are included on slide 40 of this presentation. However, I will not show them here, but when we post this online, which it will be available by tomorrow, you will see all of the questions listed. We ask that you only attach files at the cell level. To demonstrate this, I'll navigate back to section 2, again by selecting report sections at the top of the screen and selecting section 2. A cell attachment is demonstrated by paperclip icon at the end of the question. I'll zoom in just a bit more to make sure you can see the paperclip. We recommend compiling all your attachments in one folder for ease. To add an attachment, click the paperclip. This will take you to the cell level attachments. I am going to zoom back out so you can see the full window. Select Choose File, and you see I have my attachments in a folder. And then I will select the appropriate file, which this one's for 2.3. I'll then click Open. The file name will appear here, and then I'll click Attach File. I'll receive a success pop-up once the attachment is successfully uploaded, and I'll click OK. We do ask that you name the attachments with the item number and a header or descriptive word. So for 2.3, I did name it 2.3 Legislation and Regulation. And then we also recommend that attachments are PDFs. That's not a requirement, just a recommendation, and are not password protected. Lastly, we have skip logic. Skip logic means that a response to one item is dependent on your response to a previous question. An example of this is 10.8. So I'm going to navigate to section 10 by again selecting report sections at the top of the screen and then selecting section 10. And then I will scroll down to 10.8. Right here. You'll see that I've already selected no for this question. And because I selected no, 10.8 appears as an option, and I'm required to enter a text response here. If I switch my response to yes, you'll now see that I changed to 10.8a, and I'll be required to provide a narrative response here. So again, if I click no, I'll switch to 10.8b, and the question's slightly different. If I go back to yes, it'll go to 10.8a and a slightly different question. I'll now hand it over to Nikki to discuss how to print.
Thank you, Monique. You can print either a singular section or the full report. To print a singular section from the report section screen, in the Perform Action column, click the drop-down next to Select Action. Select Print Section, then hit Go. A PDF version, actually we're using Microsoft Edge. So for this particular version that we're using, the PDF shows directly on the screen. Here you have the option to print. You can also save this document to your desktop.
Just to, for everyone to print, you would have to right click and click print. We are in Google Chrome. This might be different if you're using a different browser.
Thank you. To print a full form from the report section screen, select Print Full Report. A pop-up will appear for you to save to your computer. Then a PDF version will download for you to open and print. This option will not include attachments. For those that get the slide, this picture is from Google Chrome. If you're using a different browser, how the download appears may differ. Now, there are multiple options to print the full form from the report form status screen. We recommend either print as PDF, which prints a PDF version the same as printing from the report section screen, or the print as PDF with attachments option, which will include attachments at the cell level. To print, select the appropriate action, then select Go. We will not demo this option. This concludes the live demo session. The steps for the CSBG State Plan submission process are save. Clicking save ensures your entries are retained. We encourage you to save often. Validate checks the rules and saves the data. Certify applies the electronic signature. Submit completes the official submission to OCS CSBG. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki and Monique. Now I will utilize the Q&A pod to ask your questions to my colleagues. If you have not already done so, please submit any questions that you have to the Q&A pod. If you entered a question into the chat, my colleague Jacinta will move them to the Q&A pod on your behalf. If we are unable to answer all questions, we will be sure to follow up by email. So the first question that I have is from Tina, and it asks, in SF425M, the contact person is not necessarily the same as the certifying official. Is that correct?
Yes, so the SF425M is a different form. It's your financial form. And yes, that is accurate. We didn't discuss that in this presentation, so I just want to make sure that we're clear. If you're referring to the SF424M, which we did discuss today, then yes, the contact person and the certifying official should both be the authorizing official. So it should be the same person.
Thank you. I do not see any other questions at the moment. We can move forward, and if any pop up, maybe we can save some time at the end of some announcements. Okay, so now I will begin some quick announcements. Sorry. If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to contact our CSBG Performance Management Team and our CSBG Program Specialists. On the screen, you'll see contact information for the CSBG Performance Management Team, including today's presenters. Monique and Nikki, as well as Joey and Jacinta. If you have any technical issues while completing your CSBG state plan, please contact Monique and Nikki. As stated earlier, if you need an account, please contact Jacinta. And as a reminder, here are the CSBG program specialists. Please do not hesitate to contact us with any questions you may have. Our contact information is on the CSBG Federal Contacts page, the link of which has been added to the chat. Please remember to always copy CSBG states@acf.hhs.gov on all emails. I'm just going to take a moment. We did get another question, and I think we can stop right here for a moment to answer it. So Karen asks, is the AO role required or authorizing official role required for OLDC if the AO identified in the designation letter has delegated authority to someone who is a grant administrator? The delegation letter is also attached to the plan.
Okay, so actually, Karen, that's a great question. I do think that we talked about this briefly in the state plan webinar sections 1 through 5. But yes, if the AO delegated the authority to someone else, please make sure that you attach both the original designation letter and the delegation letter to 1.3. And then who is ever delegated can certify the CSBG state plan. However, certify is not an automatic option for grant administrators. So if you find that you are a grant administrator and you're unable to certify, you can contact me and actually contact Jacinta, and you can copy myself and Nikki, and we'll make sure we add that option to your role. Again, it's not an automatic thing for grant administrators, so we would just need to add the option for you to certify plans. So if you're having that issue, just let us know.
Great, thank you, Monique.
And I think one thing I want to add there is if the AO does delegate someone, then per grants management policy, that person can also be the person who receives the notice of award. So at that point, it would be okay to put it as the delegated person, put the contact information as the delegated person under the SF424M as well.
Thank you, Monique. I'm just going to wait 1 second to see if any other questions pop up. Okay, well, let's move on. So now let's move on to a few quick announcements. OCS is on Twitter. Please follow us at OCS_ACFGOV. We've been sharing exciting news and information here, including additional funding opportunities that are available to CSBG grant recipients. And as noted in the previous webinars, we are using a new electronic mailing service that will allow communication of information in a timely manner and will help collect analytics that will inform outreach efforts in the future. As OCS transitions to this service, please continue to check your junk or spam folder for future communications. If a communication goes to your junk or spam folder, please mark the sender safe to avoid this happening in the future. You can also contact Monique and Nikki if you have any questions. On that same note, I would like to take a moment to remind you of a few recent communications. CSBG Dear Colleague Letter 2022-39. This communication provides a brief history of the Office of Management and Budget Approval process of the CSBG State Plan. Also, CSBG Action Transmittal 2022-04. This is the official notification to submit the CSBG State Plan, and it provides the submission requirements for the federal fiscal year 2023 CSBG State Plan. As Monique noted earlier in this presentation, her and Joey are sending emails to all the states in Group A to confirm the current listing of CSBG eligible entities within your state. If you do not receive that email, please contact Monique and Joey. Their emails have been shared again in the chat. As mentioned last week, all our communications can be found on the CSBG Policy and Guidance page. We've added the link to the chat as well. All of the recordings for this series, including this webinar, will be posted to our website by the end of next week. We'll also release an announcement once they are all available. The PowerPoint for each webinar is also available on the webinar page, including the one from today. As a final reminder, we are working on closing out the fiscal year 2020 CSBG annual report. Thank you again for all of your efforts so far. We know that everyone has a lot on their plates. If you have not yet responded to the fiscal year 2020 CSBG annual report review memo that was sent in March and April of this year, please do so as soon as possible. For states that have confirmed that you do have data to update, please begin doing so by first updating the data in your smart form or database, and then uploading the XML to Grant Solutions. We are hoping to complete all of this by July 31st so that we can proceed with drafting the fiscal year 2020 CSBG report to Congress and including everyone's data within this report. We will have a follow-up webinar in early September to provide everyone a status update on the information that is shared. I will now turn it over to our Program Operations Branch Chief, Verna Best.
Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who I have not yet greeted, please know that I am super excited about reconnecting with the CSBG network and the work of CSBG. I too just have a few follow-up notes to today's presentation. Please be sure to submit a complete state plan by or before September 1st, 2022. Ensure that your plan is comprehensive, as this will help your state address the locally identified needs through your eligible entities. Be mindful of the changes forthcoming to the eligible entity list. And lastly, ensure that the necessary OLDC roles are assigned to the appropriate persons within your state. I would like to thank Jessica, Monique, Nikki, and Jacinta for facilitating an informative and functional webinar. I would ask those attendees to please take a moment to access any of the links or information that has been provided for you in the chat. And lastly, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to supporting you throughout the state plan submission process. I truly hope you all will have a productive day.